Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon to all innovators and creators joining us here today at AVL headquarters in Graz and to all of the creators community joining online via LinkedIn. This is our 7th edition of Creators Lounge, the online event where entrepreneurs and top industry leaders meet to exchange and collaborate on topics that are relevant today. And talking about relevant topics, today is all going to be about humans, machines, and how will we define these interactions in the future. We are very curious about what our speakers today have to talk about it, and without losing time, I would like to give the stage to the moderator of the event, known for her charisma and thought-provoking moderation style. Over to Ludmilla.
Thank you very much, Lisbora, for the very kind introduction, and I welcome you to our great panel discussion, Human Meets Machine, Redefining Interactions for the Future. And first of all, welcome to our guests and welcome to our live audience and welcome also to everyone who is now digitally looking live and also to everyone who will be watching that afterwards in the recorded version. So welcome to the creators community. So, and we are doing this panel discussion for you, but we are doing also with you. So please submit your questions that will pop up in your mind during the discussion, and we will have time to answer these questions as well afterwards. So it's time to introduce our guests, right? So we have here Hermann Erlach as General Manager at Microsoft Austria. We have Christiane Noll, Managing Director at AVANADE, and we have Shahrukh Kazmi, Chief Product Officer from Volvo Autonomous Solutions, and we have Wolfgang Puntigam, Global Business Unit Manager at AVL. So, and let's start with the first round of questions. So, you have at Microsoft very global scale and reach, etc. So, what is the strategy behind when you work with the AI solutions that should support long-term and sustainable human-machine collaborations? That should be really real collaboration, not just automation. So how do you do that?
Yeah, good afternoon from my side. Thanks for having me. We are super proud about our ongoing partnership with AVL, so I'm super happy to be here today to discuss a very important topic and one of the hottest topics at the moment, which is AI. And I want to start with our mission statement. So the mission statement of Microsoft is we want to empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. And the messaging is clearly that it's not about pure automation. It's really about enhancing people's skills, supporting them in their daily work, and bringing more or less the capabilities of machines and of humans together, which is quite important. So we do believe that the capabilities are quite different. Sometimes we are underestimating. Because we love technology, we are underestimating the capabilities we do have as human beings. So in the future, it's about combining these two capabilities.
So what I take from what you said is that we want to enhance efficiency, basically. That is the driving force behind that.
Not only efficiency, creativity. We want to get rid of all these repetitive tasks. We want to help that people can really focus on creative jobs, on creative tasks. And it's also creating a healthy work environment, where people are not facing burnouts or doing just repetitive tasks where they get bored because of these repetitive tasks. So it's really about enhancing their jobs and providing a healthy modern work environment.
That also Christiane joined that because you are kind of from the same field, right? So, and you both work basically with people-centered digitalization or digital transformation, etc. So, and when we think about AI, I mean, the pace of development is quite huge. So how to keep that people-centered and not to lose that, so while keeping the pace. So is that, doesn't overshadow, let's say, the process of development?
No, I don't think it. Welcome, first of all, just get into that. I think, especially what Hermann said just right now, to be more on the human side, human-centric, I think it's the base for all what we are doing, for everything. So if we're going to look, for example, for development, for Gen AI topics and so on, of course, everybody is talking about technology, but technology without people doesn't work. because you can put in the best technology on this planet, and if the people, they don't accept it or they don't use it, then just forget it. So therefore, we always have to think, you know, what's the added value for our people, for our clients, or for the clients of our clients. Yeah? So to be very, very focused on what's the value, and if you know, understand the why you're going to use it, and what's the really the value, the added value for it, then you're going to use it, and then there is no discussion about it.
I love your answer, because we definitely need to talk about change management, how to, let's say, work with the mindset that needs to be changed. And we will go on that in the discussion, absolutely. So keep that in mind. No? So, and now we started quite enthusiastically, AI, everyone is pro, etc. So now, Shahrukh, tell us a little bit of problems and challenges, let's say the major challenges that you currently have with autonomous driving and all the AI implementation, etc.
So good, thank you for having me as well. I think I take on what Hermann mentioned. The main mission is to take humans and machines and enable a safe and efficient kind of solution for autonomous system. And that mission is also our challenge to enable, because when you use AI and when you use these technologies, you get a lot of efficiency. But as you are deploying them, you have certain challenges on the safety side, especially on autonomous driving, where it will be in public domain, as in our highway trucking, for example, or it will be in our quarry and mining, where it is very much controlled, but people are interacting with it. So our key challenge is to how to design those autonomous systems by bringing the user and the human in the center of it. And you can use the famous word, bring left shift, put the human-centric requirements early in the phase, and that's the biggest challenge. How do you manage the complexity of the design and the human element of it? And that's the exciting challenge. Yeah.
To build on that one, I think it's pretty interesting that at least in Europe, we are accepting failures done by humans, but we are more or less not accepting failures done by the machines. Yeah, this is also interesting.
I think also we see differences if you talk about something like life and death decisions, you know, like while driving, or is it just about financial fraud or something, you know? It's like there's a big difference in that. No? So, yeah. So we can do also a whole panel discussion just about that as well. No? So, but good point, absolutely. So now we balanced it a little bit out, let's say, with the positivity and negative, the challenges at least, etc. So now we need again a little bit of positivity. So at AVL, what kind of recent innovations at AVL have you seen that needed this kind of shift in the mindset, where you see like, okay, you need really more human-centered development, etc., particularly in the classical core business parts of AVL, be it engineering and testing environments, etc. Do you have some examples on that?
Sure. That, Emma, is a super question. And I think to answer that appropriately, I think we have to look a little bit back in history, 20 or 30 years ago, when we talk about the human-machine interface or machine-human interface, however you see it. I think 20 or 30 years ago, systematically, we were in an age where we as humans try to better understand the machines. What does that mean? For example, when the first simulation tools or engineering tools were born, there were a lot of people who are doing the interaction by shell scripting. So if you really would like to use the full power, it was shell scripting. After that, of course, the whole, when it comes more to UI and user friendliness, right? The whole UI designs become more and more important, and the UI interfaces I also see as like a translator or ambassador between the machine and the humans. And when we look today at the main, what is going on, I really see as a kind of revolution. Why as a revolution? Because systematically, how we see it is that now the machines better try to understand the human, especially when it comes to Gen AI and these all large language models, right? Because we can interact with the machines in a completely different way. So putting really the human more into the center, and it's not only by clicking the tasks and doing all the things with the graphic user interface. So at the moment, also as AVL, what is driving us a lot to how to prompting fueled by AI is a complete game changer, because it's not only about your knowledge as an engineer. If you're in engineering or in testing, wherever you are, it's not only about your knowledge. You have now the possibility with AI that you can also learn or have all the learnings from your colleagues built in. And that for you as a user, right, it's not only up to you, so you can also profit from all the experience in the company, for example. That's how we try to use it, or use it within our company, but also build in our software tools to make for our end user the life easier, and to have a much easier conversation with let's call it, with the machine.
I would love to create an open question out of what you said. So if it's in the past was we were trying to understand the machines, and now the machines are trying to understand us, is that something that you see in your field, basically?
I think it's learning. It's learning, yeah. The machine is learning. Every question we're going to ask, it's learning. And if you're going to see, if you're going to look back, the machine is learning from data we have. So therefore, it's so important to feed the machine with the right data. As better the data are, the outcome is getting better in the, the daily basis. No, not in a second. In every second it's getting better. Yeah. So therefore, I think the base, it's always the data, and if the data are getting better, then the machine will be more exact in the answers and more precise. And they know you better. In which kind of questions do you ask? What you want to know, how you want to know it, which language, and so on, yeah.
Exactly, we see that all the time, that there are profiles created out of us, and they know us better than maybe like our parents or something, right?
I think everything started with the global release of ChatGPT. Yeah, this triggered an enormous discussion, and last year we've seen a lot of discussion. Is AI really a good thing or a bad thing? I think you can't discuss it that way, because there are different tools, different philosophies, different technology approaches. And now I see, at least in Austria, I see a massive shift to the use case discussion. Yeah, focusing not only on the regulatory discussion and not only on the technical discussion, but really focusing on what's the use case in manufacturing, in retail, in serving public citizens, yeah, and then discussing the use case and which technology do I need, which approach do I need to serve that, to solve that problem, yeah. So this is a massive shift, because people are also a little bit tired, especially media, of having these regulatory discussions. And I think telling now stories, what is AVL doing with that technology? What are other companies doing that with that technology? What can public sector achieve with that technology? I think this is the next phase of the AI discussion.
So when we had, there was not, I just would like to go back, a few years back when, Corona, was from one day to the other. We have been working on a project, in an NGO organization, and this value, it comes out to bring a chatbot, how to use, how you act, how you can protect you, and so on, and to roll this out and getting this information and learning it in a daily basis, in 180 countries, translating the right language, getting the right language on board. You had the immediate impact, for the people, so for the end users. And this would really convince me so much, in saying, of course, we have to take care what we're going to do, but the most important is how we're going to use it, and in the right setup, with the right database, with the right background. I think it's a huge impact for our people.
I can build exactly on that. If I take in the autonomous driving domain, quarry and mining, or hub-to-hub trucking, you actually have to build empathy for the user by the developers in the process of developing it. You can say how you feed the data, what data you feed, like in the Gen AI. But in the autonomous driving domain, one way we do it at Volvo Autonomous Solution is we actually bring our developers into the quarry or mine, and we actually make it part of our development process called a day in a mine, or a day in the life of a trucker. And we actually ensure that they understand how the process works, what is the real user is doing, because then you can actually design and feed the right system, so the empathy is built right into it. And once it's built into it, then we actually can take that and make the communication from the machine simpler to the other road users. And you can even do that by placing where you place the lamps, how it actually blinks to you. Same translation in Gen AI, right? So I think we have to bring empathy in the data we feed, if we use the GenAI example, and if we are doing development of systems and engineering, we have to bring that empathy into the requirements as well, right at the source. And that's how I think you get a proper human and machine.
Actually interesting, because you kind of half answered already my next question to all of you. So basically, I would love to ask you about the user friendliness, because you said that several times, like, no matter what you develop, if people are not willing to use it, it doesn't matter how great it is. So it really doesn't matter. So therefore, let's call it the begin with the end in mind approach. No? So, and we say like, okay, the final result should be an amazing user friendliness. How do you test that? So when you develop something, you develop in a bubble, be it that people talk only engineering language or they talk only IT language. So how do you test that? How user-friendly is it in the end? You kind of half answered that already. So if you
want,
like
can I trigger the ball as well? Exactly. And I think if you asked what the challenges was, this is the next big challenge. When you are developing these systems, these are complex. And in the development stage, you want to see all the variables. Engineers and developers, they like all the variables to look at the interface and impact them. When the user is using it, it needs to be simplified. It needs to be simplified so the usage is intuitive. I think we call it in GenAI prompting, so it is easier to use. One of the ways we actually have to manage this, when the developing team is developing it, they will have a user interface which will have a lot of variables visible on the screen, because we need that information to fine-tune the system. But you have to go through that phase of each gateway to simplify that interface and bring it to a level where human user, the real operator, who is not the expert in that engineered system, but the user of it, is doing that. One way we do it is we actually do most of our design reviews and gates. We do that in a way that we are actually in the real environment, and we are actually looking at operator, how the operator is behaving with that. So we will bring a wheel loader in a quarry and mining segment operator, and we will see them, even actually survey them to see how they're interacting with the robot, so we can actually build that requirement and simplify their user interface, because engineering and myself requires a lot of variables, but I think users needs simple.
So that's how it's done in autonomous driving for trucks. But
I think we are following, first thing is we're following quite a traditional approach, yeah, because things like UX design are not new, yeah, in software. So you do testing, user acceptance, and all these things. But then there is this, and that's pretty new, not new, but even more relevant. It's this change and adoption management challenge, yeah. How can you bring your employees in a position that they are willing to learn, yeah, that they are really taking time to experiment all these things. And the third approach is quite a new one, because we think that we will enhance accessibility by AI, yeah, by leveraging AI, and also people that do not have the capabilities, traditional capabilities to access software and machines, they are now able to do it via speech, via natural language, and that actually reduces the borders to use software and to use machines, because there's no need anymore to go through the manuals, yeah, to read everything, to do trainings, because actually the software or the machine learns what you want from the software, from the machine. So this is quite a different approach, and there's a lot of power in that approach to access software and machines via natural language. I think this is the new normal in some areas.
do you have a timeline for that when you said like that's not quite new or not quite new, etc.? So I mean, how many years are we talking about?
No, this has already started. Yeah. So actually, we are doing it actually already in our software systems. Yeah, and also we are doing projects with customers, also here in Graz, where they are using natural language to interact with big machines. So that's already, it's here, it's there. It's like the new updated Alexa. Yeah.
So Christiane, I would say you would.
Yeah, I
fully
try
agree.
to just. Yeah. I think therefore, because you've been asking, I'm looking back. When we've been looking back, quite a long time in the software industry. 20 years, 25 years ago, of course, it was different. The people have been sitting, in the desk. They develop something, and then after a few months, weeks, whatever days, they get out and say, that's what you wanted, yeah? And then you showed, okay, now try to work with it, yeah? And, you know, I think the process changed completely. It's not only in terms of technology points, you know, so it's also the process. So from the very, very beginning, you know, the users are integrated in the development process. It's not that there is the development and there are the users. No, we are together. And this process, if you're going to work together in a daily basis, you have dailies, you're working agile and so on. This makes a huge difference in terms of how you're going to do projects and how you develop. It's not only the what, it's also the how, I would say.
Do you see then speed up in the process in general?
Yes, definitely, because you're getting much faster impact, and the acceptance, of course, is here. Because, you know, I'm in the boat, you know, we are going together. And it's not, I'm getting something after a while and it's like, oh no, I thought it looks different, or it works different. So I think there's a huge difference in the way, in the how.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Wolfgang?
I totally agree what you said, right?
Good.
So when you look
Yeah.
on big software project years ago, right, there's this waterfall approach. Typically what we all learned maybe in our universities from project management. And there was, of course, a huge transformation. But the two key ingredients, what we see, the first is really because you asked about the testing also, right? It's the one is this end to end. But this means end to and to end. And the one end is the customer or the user, the human, and the other end is the customer and the human. So that's also for us in software nothing new, right? We have this special discipline, the UX designers, and I think the key thing from the UX designer is in the past it was often understood as UI design. It's not, right? It's really spending time with the end user and understanding their problem, and also live to some extent the same life as the end user have to really understand the problem. Because not always what the use case is asking for is that what he need, right? Therefore, you have to understand. And out of that, of course, we create the user stories. The user stories are really scribbles or clickable mockups, right, where then the end user can experience already. And then the special skill is, of course, to translate then, as you called it, into the tech bubble. That's also a special skill, and you have to talk with to translate this, what really the user needs out of the user story into features, into software architecture. And then, of course, the whole development takes place and so on. And then it goes back up, so that means then it comes to testing. And we follow a three-step approach. The first step is really machines are testing machines, if you call it, so writing code to massively, of course, automate the base testing. Then in the second stage, we call it a virtual twin approach. So we create a virtual twin of the customer environment. So we test against this customer environment. And then, of course, going back to the user. And the key thing, as you said, Christiane, was also is this agileness. So it depends always on the solution and the products, but if we talk about pure software products, of course, we can have a daily builds, and we are able to every week or every 2 weeks have a shippable product which the customer really can respond to. So it's going away from this big bang approach. You know, it's long gone, not everywhere, but basically gone through this high agility. And it's, of course, the way to go, so to develop together it with the customer. It's not longer making the requirements and the specification, and to really understand exactly that interface. And I also agree what you said, Hermann. But now, with the capabilities of AI or with prompting, we have the capability now to learn out of that, and to understand it even online, what the user needs. And we don't have to ask them so many questions, because we learn already out of this prompting and how it's interacting also with our software. That's, I think, also a transformation which is going on.
Actually interesting to see, because different industries, but very similar approach now, at least in that kind of development, right? So, and if we think like, okay, I see the end user, okay, one part will always be the excited one, the curious one, want to try everything. And the other part will be like maybe anxious, etc. So I would love to talk about that second part, because it's maybe a bit more challenging. So you have to handle fears, I guess. The people that think like the robot, or let's talk about it in general way, like the system will come and take my job. So how do you handle that? And that in two ways, be it in your team or be it with the clients. So who want to start?
I want to start with a quote, yeah. Of course, we will see some disruptions in some areas or in some industries, yeah. But in general, we do not think that it's machine versus human beings, yeah. What we see at the moment is that people that are able to use AI in their jobs are far better positioned than people that are not able to use AI. Think as an example, you want to work in a marketing agency and you are able to use the tools to use AI, then you're far more competitive than somebody that is not using the tools. So I think that people that are not adopting that skills in finance, in supply chain, in other areas, they will be replaced by the ones that are learning, that are using the stuff, that are adapting the stuff. Yeah. I think this is the better approach to people, not to talk about fears and potential job replacement, but to say, hey, be careful. If you're not learning, you will be probably out of job because others are learning faster. And it's a completely different story. Yeah.
And it comes back to what you said in the very first question, actually, or reply. You said that it's like about efficiency, but also creativity. And I mean,
yes,
both is enhanced by AI. So
you cannot imagine. Yes, we are discussing all the time technology, but it's so linked to the company culture. Yeah, if you have a learning culture within your company, yeah, if you have the right tone from the top, from the company, so the culture is, I think it's a no-brainer, but culture is so important when talking about AI. And what we see also internally, people that are going deeper into technology, into the functionality, into what can AI do and what can AI not do, at least for the time being, they are losing these fears. You do have fears when you do not know what the thing really is. Yeah? If you go deeper, then you see, okay, can do that, cannot do that one, and then you're losing your fears.
Well,
culture.
you're getting fears, yeah. You know, it's a
Could-
winning. So the other way around, because to bring it a little bit, because then we always have the same opinions.
Yeah.
Right? So, because I would like to add something, and it just what I see with the most of our customers, that we are having sometimes really a hard time to explain why change management is important. Because that's what you said, you know, it's not given.
No.
Yeah, you have to take the customer by hand and say, okay, that's the way how we're going to do it. You know, that's the way we have to explain, we have to communicate what's the value, what's in for them, they're going to learn, and so on. And as long that they, you know, then they're aware of that, few of our clients, say change management, no, that's not important. We're going to do the project, but this has not the priority. Yeah. So, because there is too much, you know, effort. We need a lot of people for that. It takes time. They have to train. They have to listen, and so on. So, and what I see, there's now a change ongoing, because as now Gen AI is coming, boom. And I say, okay, perhaps it's not such a stupid idea to invest in change management. So things are getting better, not in the way where I think it should be, but the awareness of change management is rising. Like we talked. yeah. So we just had a discussion about that.
I think what is also super important next to change management is there are use cases you can more or less use out of the box immediately. Yeah, but there are other scenarios, like I'm pretty sure that autonomous driving is such a scenario where you need to do a lot of pre-work. So at the moment, executives are jumping on the AI train and they are clearly stating, I want to do that. But then they see they need to do pre-work like data management, all these things you need to have in place to build really relevant AI solution, and that's not easy. Yeah.
So would you confirm that
Exactly,
it's
yeah.
not easy?
And I think definitely not easy, but I can recognize and understand the key challenge is it really is a partnership between a human and the machine, because that's what enables it to be more efficient and reinforced in terms of safety of autonomous driving. If you remove one of the element and you let the other run, the chances of that oversight which the human brings goes away. And that also weakens the system. So it is really that partnership which actually gives you the efficiency, because without the user, what would you do? And also the reinforced safety which the autonomous system actually brings. So of course, when you automate a process flow in a quarry and mining line, or on a highway trucking, the question do come, if something is automated, what happens to my role? What do I do? How does it impacts us? We believe that it will actually enhance those users' efficiency. They will become far more safer in what they do, and there will be some use cases like long haul trucking or repetitive remote quarries and mines, where a human can still have a work-life balance, and actually monitor and deliver far more efficiently. And I think that's the key thing, that partnership which has to be embraced from both sides, which actually can really unlock the autonomous driving and all the other initiatives which are going in.
I don't want to do product placement here, but I still like this branding about co-pilot. Yeah, this was a conscious decision. It's not about building an autopilot. It's about building a co-pilot that helps, that supports, but is not replacing the driver or the pilot.
I forgive you, it was good insight.
It's cooperation.
Yeah.
We are live, we cannot cut it out, right? So you know it.
But that, exactly what you said, we're also using a lot of Copilot, right? Also in our software development from Microsoft, of course. But I think that it's also about, I think, the term AI, artificial intelligence. I think it's not about the replacement. I call it better, how I see it is it's augmented intelligence. It's not like artificial intelligence. It's about augmenting human intelligence. That's the key thing. And that's why coming to the threats, of course, you can see a lot of threats, right? Yes. If you really would like to use the power of AI, you have to go in all the deep dives into data analytics, channel mapping, channel names, synchronization. You can make projects there for years. Yeah. But as I'm a basic positive person, and also as the culture of our company, really entrepreneurial driven, we see much more possibilities than threats. But coming to the threats also, of course. And the possibilities, of course, it is repetitive task, that's one. But the more advantage I see, I would like to explain on example. When I started my professional career years back, 20 years back or so, I was there responsible for the design of the thermal management of a vehicle. And I started in the company, and the task was make for the new vehicle the thermal management concept. Of course, you have your education, you have your experience, what you have done, and then you start with the task. Of course, you can ask your colleagues, your experienced colleagues, and then in some time, of course, you come up with a concept, you design the concept, you test the concept, okay. But the real advantage now I see when it comes to AI, and it's not only Gen AI, it's also machine learning, so different aspects, right? But the real benefit I see, let's imagine this young guy coming to a company with this task for design a thermal management, and he only talks with the machine, and he said, look, I'd like to develop the new thermal management for the next BEV vehicle, electrified vehicle. I would like to have this driving range. I would like to have that thermal comfort, whatever. So defining your requirements, and you get as a stunt, as a jump start, the 80% ready concept. And I think that's the real benefit and power where it comes from, because one of our main challenges of our customers and our main industry in automotive is at the moment is development speed. Years back, we talked about 50 to 60 months from the idea to a start of production. Today, we are heading down to 30 months. This is a real huge challenge. So, and now taking advantage of the experience of your colleague, because the machine learned that or all that things already and is inherent, and you can ask that they have an 80% jumpstart model. That's a real benefit. That's a real benefit. But of course, there's also a threat. And the threat is, of course, you still, as a human, has to understand the feedback and the answer. Like ChatGPT, right? It's easy. Do you take that as granted? Do you take this as granted what is coming back? So there is still the human intelligence needed to judge and decide. but also then to spend their own creativity or to unleash their own creativity, then to say, okay, that could be, that not, maybe make here, and so it's really a continuous interaction then with the machine to becoming better and better. That's, I think, on the one hand side, a main benefit, on the other side, a threat. But the question is also when it comes to threats, the bigger challenge I see when it comes to threat is about the regulation. Because when it comes to this AI Act, is it really an enabler or is it maybe a blocking point? There must be regulations, no doubt, right? But is it really an enabler? Because sometimes in Europe, we how should I say, we have the talent to over-regulate, and then it becomes a blocking point. I think that's one of the huge upcoming challenges where we have to talk about also, and where we will face with it very soon.
Let's talk about it.
I fully agree. We are supporting, of course, the regulation. Regulation is needed, but the question is what comes down on the desk of the individual employee or the individual company. I also have to say, you cannot imagine how careful European and Austrian customers are in developing their business models and their AI solutions. So sometimes I have the feeling that they are really super risk averse, and they are checking every single detail. So in some areas, why do you need regulations when the customers are really, and I think you can also support that argument.
Underline
hey,
it,
they are doing everything to avoid any risk, because it would be also a huge damage for companies when they are doing something unethical or something with data. So they're doing everything at the moment to avoid that scenarios. And my learning from my side was also we've collected more or less 200 use cases based on AI in Austria. And in the majority of use cases, we do not see that topics popping up at all, these ethic discussions and all these things, because these are just improving business processes, or there's nothing new. It's like there's a famous case, I have to mention it, it's a retail case from Austria. They are using AI to bring food fresher in the retail stores, and to avoid the situation that they need to throw it away afterwards, because it's expired or something like that. So there are a lot of use cases where these discussions are not applicable at all. And I think as an economy, we also need to focus on these use cases that are easy to implement, bring huge value, and do not even touch that discussion about ethics or regulations.
Because otherwise it makes us very, very slow.
Yes.
Especially in Austria. And the world, it's getting closer and closer. Before we had borders, but with development now, there are no borders. If you're gonna buy a product in China or in the States or in Europe, for the end users, it's not important at all. So therefore, you really have to. So I think we really have to think it over, that we're going to do it in the right way, but we don't lose speed. Just to thinking, do I make something wrong? Could I make, perhaps, there could be something. So, and therefore other countries are much faster.
But can we call those kinds of use cases kind of low-hanging fruits of the Gen AI adaptation in the current time, and then the more advanced use cases with, let's say, ethical questions, etc., will come later? Would you see that this way?
We all have to learn. There's how to handle data, which data can you use. There's IT security, so different aspects, and there is regulation. What I see at the moment that customers and organizations that are focusing initially on the use case and on the benefit of this use case, then they are able to make it safe, to comply with regulation, everything. The ones that are initially focusing only on the regulation topics, they will never make it down to the use case.
Because they don't use it, because we try to motivate our customers really just start, do tiny things, little things, that the technology, what's the possibilities, how you could use it, and it creates creativity and it motivates people. They say, this is cool, I can do this and this. So it has an impact on culture, by the way, because you had the culture topic before.
But it's really the 20 years old or older concept of design thinking, you know it anyway. Start with what could be possible, what could be the best solution, and then afterwards deal with limitations, technical limitations,
How
and
to regulate,
regulatory
etc., yeah.
limitations. But you need to start with the big idea. Yeah.
Also
Open
to
mind.
inspire
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
exactly what
Yeah.
is possible, and also to start maybe with the pain points. That's also a good motivation, right? To remove the pain points. Which task you have always to do, and you are bored out of your mind when you have to do it, but you still have to.
Yeah.
And we need to put more responsibility on the shoulders of companies and organization and also executives, because you will never be able to adapt regulatory to the speed of innovation. Yeah, the innovation will always be faster. The technological evolution will be always faster. So we need, to some extent, need to live with that gray zone.
Actually, talking about putting responsibility on the shoulders, I would love to hear your opinion on that. Basically, you work with the safety drivers. No? When is for you actually the time that you say, okay, the system is safe enough, let's remove them? So now,
I so love this
curious,
conversation now. And I'm going to agree and disagree in the same sentence. And agreement is, it's definitely use case by use case. For example, in high critical systems like safety and autonomous driving in a quarry and mine or in highway trucking on public road, the North Star really is safety. It is more from a human side as well. It is also from a business side as well. You can see when that North Star is breached, that how much of an impact it actually brings. So at Volvo, and being the pioneer of safety and actually having this in our DNA and mindset, even in the development testing phase, we actually put safety drivers. Those are still drivers, but they have now enhanced skill set, right? They are learning and they're operating those machines, that we keep them behind the wheel to monitor, and actually we keep on gathering the data until the time we actually know that this is the point of safe enough, and this is now safe. It is safe in terms of the state of art, and that we are confident it will go. So we have full speed in development and bringing autonomous driving, and then we put in, to balance that, we put in safety driver, and then we actually wait to build the argument and the data in. And that's the slow part, because you're a North Star, you have to be clear what it is, right? And with that, we actually take a long time. And I think we have many use cases. For example, in Brunei, in northern Norway, in quarry and mining segment, we actually had an opportunity, because we can control the operational environment by controlling if the human or other vehicles can go in or not. So we decided, after putting the safety driver in, gathering the data, how much time it takes to brake, to react to a certain situation, because it is a very dynamic environment in a quarry or a mine. And then we decided to remove the driver, but we control the operational environment. So we actually ensure that the other vehicles and other humans cannot come in, because the idea was the North Star is safety. So you can control it in many ways to deliver that. Highway trucking is far more exciting and more complex. And there, I think we will put the safety drivers in when we'll reach that stage. And then I think we're going to be very data driven to ensure that our North Star and our true DNA is not breached. So.
It's way more complex than
It's
we
way
were
more complex.
expecting.
And you have to be clear on what is it your drives you. So hence I think driven by safety and autonomous driving, that's the core. So.
Now let's continue with the challenges that we already said. Actually, all of you mentioned that, like change management that needs to be done, let's say, that needs to be considered, and as early as possible, right? So actually, for Wolfgang, can you summarize, let's say, the main challenges that you would see that are, let's say, related to change management? 3 to 5, I don't know, like how many you see? You could ask, like, how much time do we have?
There are a lot of challenges, but coming back what I said before, I think at the moment, when it comes to AI and AI usage, okay, one dimension, I think we are in a kind of wonderland at the moment, right? And as you talked about culture, at AVL we have really an entrepreneurial culture down to every single employee, and that's really the cool thing, right? We try a lot of things. The challenge is even there to keep everything, or to learn from each other, to learn from each other what works for you, what don't work for you, can I leverage what you learn, because we are also a global company, of course, and to get all these pieces together. So this is one challenge what we have also internally when it comes to AI. On the other hand side, another challenge what we are facing at the moment, where we of course would like to support also with our software tools, goes a little bit in the direction what you said. When in the past years, when the car were developed, all the situations on the road or possible situations on the road were tested in the lab. Or with real test vehicles. But today, when it goes strong in the area of software-defined vehicle, so that means if you have an end customer buys your car, you don't have you have the functionality what it has, but over the lifetime of the vehicle you get new updates. So the car gets additional functionality. The question then, what our customers are asking us, how can you help us to validate that in a manner that we can release a new functionality which goes to the end customer on the street and to test it early enough. And one key approach to overcome the challenge is also a little bit what you said, is this data-drivenness. So really to have, and that goes also back where we have a huge benefit in our cooperation with Microsoft when it comes to huge data, to collect the data out of the field, to learn on the one hand side how the customer is using the vehicle, bring that back into development, then already in the early development consider the real usage, update the software over the air, and then have an immediate feedback from the fleet back in the development. And with AI and machine learning, of course, there could be a possibility to train models out of the huge amount of data, because today also the challenge from our customers is we'll be using a lot of time of engineers is used for parameterizing simulation models, right? We see now with machine learning, there's the clear trend to overcome the challenge is really a clear trend to use machine learning models that really to automate that. Maybe a simulation engineer today spends, to give numbers, also 60 to 70% of their time for parameterizing the model. With machine learning, that could be reduced massively. So that means the whole development process is completely changing in our industry, especially driven off this software-defined vehicle over the updates. So with machine learning, for example, that's one at least technology what we see which can help us to build this digital twin of the fleet, and then react early on changes. That's so there are many challenges. I only try to highlight now one very concrete where our customers in, and that of course goes back then also how the customers then interact with our software solutions and software products. For example, to ask a question, to say, okay, what if we change now a software version in the vehicle? What does that mean for driving range, for example, or safety? Or autonomous driving is a special topic for itself, right? So that's one major challenges where our customers are faced, and where we also, together with the help of Microsoft, we try to find solutions there.
Actually, I noticed like you could keep on going and going. So summarizing the challenges, it is a huge topic. It is definitely a huge topic. But I would love to use the remaining time from our discussion now, and then I will start with the Q&A part. Basically, I would love to talk about partnerships. So I know that you are all investing in partnership. I mean, one partnership we have sitting here now, so with Microsoft and AVL, etc. How do you choose your partners, or where do you invest? How you decide, let's say, what you develop in-house, or where you want to have challenges be solved together with partnerships? Yeah?
I think partnerships are really key. Yeah, partnerships between companies, partnerships with consulting companies. Also, cross-industry partnerships are super relevant. We sometimes think that only we can partner in one industry. I think we see in an AI that also cross-industry partnerships makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Also, when I'm talking about partnerships, I really want to bring in government and political stakeholders into the game. Yeah, because we've just released a couple of months ago the AI impact study. Yeah, not done by Microsoft, and it's just one example. They are talking based on data points about plus 18% GDP growth in the next 10 years. Yeah, so it's not only a company thing; it's a game changer. Yeah, if we really want to stay competitive in Europe, in Austria, we need to approach the AI topic fast, and really with an open mindset. So I think it's underestimated what could be the benefit of AI in general. And we really need to focus on speed adoption. And this is not a statement from the Microsoft CEO. Yeah, it's more a statement as an Austrian or as an European. We need to embrace the technology as fast as possible. Otherwise, we will fall behind like hell. And this is based on data. Yeah, we also have a special situation in Europe that we have an overaging population. So it's not about replacing jobs. Yeah, it's about, we have, for example, in Austria, we will see 590,000 missing people in the labor market here in Austria. Yeah, this is the big challenge. And also politicians need to approach the topic data-driven. That's really needed. Yeah.
And the lack is always in the highly educated part
Yes,
of the
yes,
population.
yes,
let's say.
yes.
Yeah.
We can basically do three things to keep our wealth in Austria or in Europe. That's working harder and more. Yeah. The second lever is to raise the level of education within a very short time frame. And the third lever is to use technology. And that's
To
it.
work harder and more.
I think if I can add the same partnership, the more complex these challenges are, like AI and GPT type, or autonomous driving and automation, you really have to have partners. This is the only leadership which will work, because the old model where you can do everything in-house and you can be brilliant and structured and cutting edge at every piece of that complex puzzle is getting harder and harder. So you need to have partners. You need to go and actually work with them, and this is the only way you can deliver a safe and efficient system. And that's why I think, at least in Volvo, in our Volvo Autonomous Solution, we highly focus on picking the right partners, where our expertise lies, where our partners' expertise lies, so we can learn with them, so we deliver something for the user and the end user. So it seems like this will be a trend. I know you need to answer, but partnership is the leadership, so to speak.
Yeah, I fully agree. I think my customers are my partners, you know, and this is based on trust. So it's not that you're going to do a project, okay, and then you're out. So you're going to live for a long, long time together, and therefore I think you're always getting better because you learn from each other, you know, and you're going to have good times and bad times, like in every partnership. But it's, you know, you're going like this, but it's always getting up, and this makes the huge difference for me.
Yeah, and for us, or for me especially, the partnerships is also about focus, because as AVL, we always over the last 75 years. So last year the 75-year ceremony, it is we made a huge transformation, right, from ICE into gasoline, from the whole combustion world. We are fully in electrification. We are going further into the vehicle with. Going also into autonomous driving, going into software-defined vehicle. Also now with the change or going away with fossil fuels, going into hydrogen, going in also in full electricity, right? So we made a huge transformation. But one thing was always is always our domain knowledge in all these areas. So, and when it comes now to partnerships, we can focus on our domain knowledge. And with a partner like Microsoft, we are able then to scale in different areas. We are internally scale when it comes to using Gen AI, because I read, I think yesterday in the Handelsblatt, that Microsoft is investing this year 80 billion euro only in infrastructure. That's huge. Why not focus on our domain and leverage that, right? So we can leverage that internally when it comes to AI or Gen AI, machine learning, so all these aspects. And on the other hand side, for our software products, we are also in a better position to scale when it comes to software as a service. So we see a transformation also in our industry when it to consume or to deliver software. I don't talk about CDs or whatever, right? That's long gone. But to really consume our products as a service, and that's also a huge transformation for us, where partners can help us, which have done that already since years or have done that with other customers, also from other industries, because some basic patterns are always the same. And this is partnerships, and it's not only Microsoft is one aspect, right? We have also other partnerships, technology partnerships when it comes to hydrogen development, electrolyzers. So in many areas, and I think this is also a change in the past. Also, we're coming out of the world to have a full stack development. So everything. So making our own data analytics, to make our own data injection up to the application. But today that's gone. So really, and the partnership is the advantage for focus.
What is also super relevant is internal partnership within the organization, within the company. Yeah. What I like about AVL is that they are doing things in parallel. So if you're following a waterfall model in AI, yeah, like the IT is starting, and then you need to convince the business, and then the labor council comes into play, yeah, and then the legal guys are approaching. You're too slow. You need to do it in parallel. You need to come together to bundle the expertise. And the second thing is, why should every company ask themselves the same questions and answer all the questions individually regarding AI? Yeah? One side is the regulatory side, but the other side is also how can we learn from each other?
Was that something that you saw at AVL and you want now to implement at Microsoft? Is that something that will be working for you, model as well?
No, I think that what I experience is that AVL is really able to bring IT and business, maybe because the DNA is also a technology one of the company, yeah? And they are pretty fast in taking decision and then bringing people along. So yes, we are doing it together, we are driving, we are pushing AI, and that's amazing.
But I think sometimes it's also good to have partnerships outside your own industry, because you're going to learn from each other. You know, if you're from the financial services or you're from the public sector, wherever, you know, every industry has his strengths, and sometimes it's so good, you know, to see how they're working, and you're going to just take it and say, okay, I can use it, you know, I don't have to think about it. Yeah.
Absolutely good, yeah. We will continue now to, or I will continue to ask questions or to read questions from our audience, and you will continue to answer. And we will start with the first very funny question, actually, because it is to all of you. Can AI answer better the question that Ludmilla is asking? So, would AI be able to replace your replies, let's say?
Maybe so.
Maybe so. But better?
If you only focus on the content part, yeah, you could always argue, why are we sitting together? Because you can also watch a YouTube expert or something talking about AI. It's a lot about interaction, human interaction, having fun together, exchanging point of views. And there are so many things AI doesn't know at the moment and is not able to do.
Maybe to give you an motivated answer, I was a couple of weeks ago at the AI Summit in Graz. It was the first time from the technical universities, and was a professor from Vienna, and there was a similar discussion. And he gave a super answer. He said, if you are okay with average answers or average questions, you can ask AI. If you would like to have the extraordinary, you need the humans.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That is maybe part of the answer, right? Yeah. Because the question, the philosophical question behind is really, if AI or all this machine learning can only learn from the past or what is existing, who makes the creativity? So there is still a place for the human.
The
so Ludmilla, I think you're not
is
out
like
of
There's no change possible.
There's also one thing, actually, the machine can handle mass data. We cannot handle mass data, yeah? And the machine is able to calculate the mathematical optimum, but sometimes, or in the majority cases, it's not about the mathematical optimum. There are other influences, or other things influencing the decision. So context, empathy, business environment, humans, decision makers. So it's machine and human capabilities.
Would you love to add something?
No, I think I'm going to underline what you guys said.
But I'm glad that the people didn't ask, like, could I be replaced? That's the other part. So the next question goes to Hermann. How can an organization shift the mindset from focusing only on regulatory aspects to actually doing use cases and adopting AI in different business functions?
I think the difficult question, what we are trying to influence with our partner network is to to show these industry use cases within industries and across industries. Yeah, because when organizations see that other organizations are doing this and that use case, and if you explain really that use case, what the use case is able to do, what's the benefit, then they are also adopting that use case. What is different is, I'm coming back to that mindset. Yeah, do you want to solve the issue? Do you really want to do the project, the use case? Do you really want to leverage AI? Or are you using regulatory arguments, challenges, whatever, to avoid going deeper into the topic? I think that's the question. I'm pretty sure that you can solve everything. There will always be some sort of gray zone, but you can do risk assessment on local level. Yeah, you can do it as a company, and you're able to solve more or less anything. But you need to have the right mindset. And it has a lot to do with fears, by the way. Yeah.
Exactly, like we discussed
Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
So the next question is to Shahrukh. With machines taking on increasingly complex tasks, where should we draw the line on automation? How can we ensure that human roles remain essential and valued?
Actually, as machines are taking, or autonomous trucks are taking over, going into quarry and mines, or eventually in highway trucking, the domains we are working on, human is becoming far more essential. It's the bar of experience, their insight, and some element of training which is needed, which helps us to actually better monitor. So if the hypothesis is eventually the user is being removed, I think that will not make the system safe and efficient. You can see it from many layers. You can see the way the autonomous system is running in quarry and mine. You will still have the operator monitoring a lot of the trucks, and monitoring and determining and making a judgment if that is the right thing to do, and optimizing, intervening at the right time to do that. So human will actually start adding more high value tasks and high value input into that automation system, increasing, I personally say, increasing personal fulfillment of the job, because you're really now going above and adding high value, and also increasing the efficiency and making it far more safer. So I don't see it as a loss. I think it's generally as a partnership where human is adding value.
And actually,
it will keep on adding it.
in work environment, fun should never be underestimated.
Exactly.
It's psychologically proven.
Exactly.
So, yeah. So the next question goes to Christiane and to Hermann. So, as AI systems become more autonomous, with ethical frameworks are your companies adopting to ensure that these technologies remain safe, unbiased, and fair in their applications?
I could talk about that frame. Do you want to go for it?
No, go ahead, because that's a huge question.
It's a huge question, yeah.
It's a whole panel discussion, the next one.
Yeah, it's not a question.
How much time do we
have? So, I think, we can't answer it like this, I think we have responsibility, of course, definitely as a company, and, also because as a consulting company, how people are acting with it. But on the other way, the world is big, so therefore you can take the full responsibility if you're going to do it for a company, and if you're going to work in that, but if you're going to go out and you're going to look out, I think therefore everybody has to learn, how to work with it. And for me, it's more a matter of training and really learning, that's the culture of the company, how we're going to use this. And if you could do it in the right stuff, and therefore the framework, the legal requirement and everything, it's the, how we going to work with it. So for me, it's the most important. Yeah. And therefore, if you're going to look for, if you're going to start, and I think, and I just would like to raise the hand for this, I think we should start immediately, in the kindergarten or before that, the children are learning how to use this technology. Because if you're going to look at that, and if you're going to go to restaurants and we're going to see little children sitting in front of the computer or whatever device, working, and to see their big eyes, and it makes something. Things are, it's changing. The culture, it has an impact on our culture and how we're going to live together, how we're going to communicate together, social media, and so on. So therefore, I think everything on this topic, we have to learn how to use it in the right way. It's not a matter of it's Microsoft or it's AVANADE or it's another company. Yeah, so it's more, we have to when we take responsibility as well.
But
As a human, it's.
But that arises the question if in like 20 years we are going to sit here and discuss how we can stay human, because of so many devices around us, so much of technology, etc. So that we will be not discussing about how to, let's say, implement the AI in our life, but how to stay human. Would that be maybe like the next discussion point of that?
We are investing a lot of money and time, of course, in these ethical frameworks. Yeah, perfectly mentioned also by Christiane. It's super, super important. Yeah, so far it worked out quite well. We haven't seen big cases, which is quite a tremendous success. Yeah, if you think about that, we are a global company, and you have also different cultural environment. Yeah, what we consider to be ethical here in Europe might not be the case in other areas. But we are also learning as a company, and we are learning from our customers, we are learning from different industries, we are learning with our partners, so it's not easy. But I want to mention some sort of paradox thing. Yeah, when you talked about staying human, and we are fighting against digitalization by leveraging digital technology. What do I mean by that? People are over-flooded by emails. Yeah. They are over-flooded completely by chats, digital information. They cannot really digest things anymore. So we are using as Microsoft AI to focus on the most important things. The second thing is, yes, AI is a big challenge for cybersecurity, cyber threat. We are using AI to fight against cybercrime, AI cybercrime. One example, you will not be able to identify whether a photo is a real photo or a fake photo. You will not be able to identify whether a voice is real or not real. The only thing you can do is you can use AI, and AI tells you this is a fake picture. This is quite paradox, but we are using AI to fight against AI.
But actually, really, really nice thought on that. Yeah. So let's go to the next question. I cannot read the first line. I just see that this is a question to Wolfgang. Yeah, okay, thank you. What are some examples of cross-industry collaboration you have seen that have successfully advanced the integration of human and machine capabilities? Where do you see the biggest potential for collaborative innovation?
I cannot read it. For cross-industry?
Cross-industry collaboration, yeah.
Cross-industry collaboration. I think at the moment, of course, as AVL, of course, we're coming out of automotive, right? That's our core DNA, where we're coming from. On the one hand side, we're going more, so the one side is what we talked about already, is the collaboration with Microsoft. But we're also going, of course, now out of our core industry from automotive, and applying but methodologies and systematics what we learned in our industry, so development methodologies, how to deal with data, for example, right? And to apply that maybe now also to marine, to aerospace, or also in the whole, there's a huge sector is coming up with this green energy production, also when it comes to hydrogen. So which is normally an industrial application, a pure industrial application when it comes to hydrogen production, right? But what we figured out is that a lot of methodologies, maybe where automotive is very advanced, we can apply to other industries. And there I see a huge benefit, but also a chance for us, right? To with that knowledge and these basic methodologies or basic systematic understanding of problems, and to use that methodology toolkit and apply to other industries. So that's a huge benefit what we see also for our growth in the future. So, and of course with the that's the one hand side, so still domain driven, and the other one is really going more into this IT solutions. I give you a concrete example. We have started recently, that's also officially announced, and partnership in Japan with a company, it's called Dentsu Soken. Dentsu Soken is an IT integration company, right, which which is not our core domain, but where we are partnering with to scale also into the IT departments of our customers. So it's also away from our traditional approach and traditional industry. So the one, and that's really the key what we see. So we have the domain knowledge. The one is then the partnerships with the IT software providers, and the other one is really taking our methodology toolkit and transferring in other industries.
Can I add?
Yeah,
to
of
that?
course.
I think especially in the autonomous driving domain, you have these, we put redundancy into our trucks. By redundancy, I mean safe, like another braking, another steering, another communication system. And you're doing that because human is not in. So you want to make sure that the truck will come to a safe stop. And we have actually very proud that we have implemented them. But if you just look across into the aerospace industry, that novel idea which I just told you has redundancy by safety by redundancy concept exists decades ago. So because they already embedded that, they went through that journey in a different way. And it, by this organizational or cross industries kind of collaboration, you might see that the challenge you are facing, someone has in a different dimension has already solved that. And you can actually take that solution and deploy it. So and I think it can give you a leapfrog in development when you are looking beyond your boundaries, sometimes decades, right, in advance.
So the next question is actually an open question. So everyone who feels like answering that can go ahead. So how can we ensure that the advancements of AI support personal, intellectual, and emotional growth for individuals in the long term rather than merely enhancing efficiency and productivity? Very good question.
I think we need both things. Yeah. What is super crucial for me is the education system, because we completely missed the train in terms of social media. This is just one example. Yeah. And now we see what is happening really in the society based on echo chambers, social media. Yeah. Educating people is really key here. And the other thing is really responsible leadership. Yeah. As a company. It's not only about productivity, not only about efficiency. This is super important, but it's also focusing on people, culture, and also what is the key benefit of humans in the workplace? Yeah, what can they really do? And for the time being, nobody knows what is going to happen in 10 years or 15 years. For the time being, nothing can replace human beings regarding creativity, ingenuity, mindset and everything. It's just unique.
May that stay like this. Anyone else?
I think we can learn here also from the past, right? There was also, some of us know the time before Google and Googling, and the time before we had mobile phones, right? And some patterns are the same. So also at Google, at the first time, you can Google everything, right? Or take Bing or whatever of the search machines, right? but only as a... Do you believe then what is coming back? And it's coming back also what you said is about the education already, the kindergarten. You know, when I look at I have 4 daughters, okay? And of course they like TikTok and so, and one time my daughter came to me and said, Papa, I read they would really delete TikTok. Okay? So it sounds to me they delete the internet. I said, don't be afraid, right? It will not go away. There will be regulations. No, really, they tell it. They really believed it. So I think what we can give to young people, so it's education, it's about a personal, ethical navigator for themselves, and then to have always the judgment not to believe everything. What happens now with this whole fake news, and that becomes commonality or so. So I think it's really about giving the people, educating the people about to have a personal ethical compass and the judgment or the intelligence or the judgment always to decide or judge, is this right? Could it be real or not? The one could be the support, as you say, AI, testing AI, but at the end it's still about the personal compass, I think, of the ethical compass of the people.
Yeah, but
and to
therefore
judge
we
by
have to
themselves.
start right now, to train the people.
Yes.
Right now, we're already late, I would say. Yeah?
Yes.
So indeed, so important. I think that's the most important for me.
And we also
personally.
need, you can call it also regulation, yeah, but you need some sort of code of conduct. What do we want as a society? What do we not want? Yeah, we need to discuss that in an open way. I think the worst thing we can do is to say, let's really focus on the threats, yeah, and then let's not focus on the opportunities to solve our biggest problems like energy management or other things. Sustainability here, AI is super helpful, yeah, and I think we need to go with the flow to some extent. Yeah, we do not know what is going to happen in 10 years, but you cannot close your eyes and say, okay, I'm afraid I can't live with that threat and I'm not doing nothing. I think the best thing is to really create the future. Yeah.
Actually, as was said previously in the panel discussion, so actually start with the low-hanging fruits and then keep on going, let's say, and then enhancing, let's say, the difficulty level. And now I'm sad, but I have to close this discussion. So, yeah, but we learned today that, yes, the robots are not there to take over our jobs, but to, let's say, help us to become more productive, more efficient, more creative even, and to stay human, because we will have time for that. No? So, yeah, thank you very much for being here, for joining. Thank you also to our live audience, and thank you also for everyone who is watching us. But you know what? If those will be just words, that's not helping. We need action. And for action, I'm actually giving over to Lisbora because she has a statement to make.
Thank you, Ludmilla, and well said. Building up on the discussion beforehand, I think one thing is essential. Collaboration is key, and this collaboration must extend beyond our own companies. We were privileged enough today to hear from Volvo, AVANADE, Microsoft, and AVL, and even though they share different perspectives and maybe also come from different industries, they can all see the common ground when it comes to challenges and pain points. And this is what we stand for, really cross-industry collaboration in these pain points that all of us in the companies have. So our final words as Creators Expedition goes to all of our AVL colleagues, our partners, and every like-minded innovator like us joining here today via LinkedIn. If you want to collaborate in such an environment with cross-industry collaborators in an open innovation environment, then feel free to reach out to us. We are here to help you and collaborate in that direction. I want to thank all the speakers and the moderator for the engaging discussion today, and until our next Creators Lounge, keep innovating and stay healthy.